Matthew, and I want to give you a tour of my room. This is the area where we get our supplies. This is our sound studio. This is our reading area. This is Mr. C's desk and a work area for kids. That's our classroom matrix. This is one of our work stations. We have many in our room. This is our 4 C's chart. We've been working on this in our room. This is our Genius Hour wall. This is our Digital Citizen wall. This is our voice chart. Wherever the green dot is, that's what voice we need to have. This is our circle area. This is our TV. We use it for a lot of cool things. One thing we do is show our iPad work on it. I'm Matthew. This is our room. I hope you enjoyed this tour. Now get ready for the movie.
I'm the actress. Hello, I am the director. And we're going to be talking to you about effective communicators and what they do. One thing that effective communicators do is to be good listeners. And good listeners usually always listen to the people that are talking and never stare off into space. Like right now, everyone's listening to me. Amy.
Just because you don't listen doesn't mean that you can't communicate with someone. So what does that mean? Yeah. I want an example of good listeners. like when are you good listeners in this room? Go ahead.
Good listeners when you like if someone's giving what do you call it? A presentation. Or if someone's talking out loud for the class, or if someone's giving you an answer to a math problem.
Like for good listeners, we would use like great eye contact with the person and not think of other things, but just think about what the person is speaking about. We're good, like being good listeners is listening to good partners in workshops.
Okay.
Good listeners, well, if someone's talking, like if you're having a conversation with someone, if you're not really listening, you're not going to hear what they're saying or anything.
Effective communicators, like they take deep breaths when they're frustrated, like when they're mad, or they just need a minute alone.
As Brooke said, if people are frustrated or angry because of if someone said something to them to make them feel bad about themselves or something like that, well, they're going to want to take a deep breath, or what you usually tell them to do is go in the hall for a second and take a deep breath, or get a drink of water to calm you down. And taking deep breaths, well, Miss Nason told us this, scientists say that if you take a deep breath, it makes your brain have more if you take a deep breath, the oxygen goes into your brain for it to work, because if you didn't have oxygen, then your brain would stop working and we would never have a brain.
Yeah. What about you guys? Janaea, Bounty, you got something to add to that?
Taking deep breaths, yeah.
Does it help you? Does it help you?
Yes.
Take a deep breaths help you? Because I know we've been working on that. Listen, we're all working on that, not just singling you out. We all work on it. I work on deep breaths every day, man. I'm not afraid to admit it. I need to take deep breaths. It helps me. I wouldn't be teaching it for you if I didn't actually do these things. I use these things every day. That's why we're learning them. These are important. So does taking deep breaths help you?
When I get really frustrated at something and I can't, and I don't have any thing else, I take deep breaths and
It's really good when you're so frustrated and you come to a point where you don't know what else to do. That's like
Another thing that effective communicators do is they respect others' words by when you respect others' words, if someone's talking, you have to respect what they say, because if you don't, well, if they're talking about something like the movie or something, kind of look there.
okay. Oh, good. So wait, what are you doing? Explain to people what the matrix is. This is actually perfect. Why are you looking up there? Yeah.
Respect others' words. Well, this is my definition of saying it. Well, if respect others' words is kind of well, when you're if someone's talking and they say something really important, well, you have to respect their words. If Mr. C was saying there was going to be a fire drill in 5 minutes and someone wasn't paying attention and didn't know what was going to happen, that person should have respected your words, because that would be a really important information.
effective communicators think before they speak. Because say if Elise was gonna make a presentation about something, and you're gonna say, you're gonna say, well, actually that doesn't make any sense. Instead of shouting that out, you should actually think, will that be rude, or should I say it, or should I say it?
Thank you. Think before you. That's perfect. Should I say it or should I not say it? Okay, keep going. Go ahead.
Also, if you
can stay
think before you speak, well, if someone were to say something that they really didn't mean, they should at least think about it for a couple of seconds and see if it would be okay to say and it wouldn't hurt someone's feelings. And if you really don't have any nice to say, this is what my mom usually says, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
Don't say it. Good.
I'm Kiana.
And I'm Janaea.
One part of our community is our voice level. Zero voices off. Whisper voice. Partner voice. Classroom voice. Loud cheering voice.
Guys.
Effective communicators use appropriate tone.
So what does that mean? Good, Elise.
What does it mean?
Wait, we're using appropriate tone? Okay. Appropriate tone. When you talk, you should use appropriate tone, because if you're using a loud cheering voice, then people aren't going to understand you. But if you use a classroom voice, as Mr. C says, it's the appropriate tone to talk. Number 1, 2, and 3 are usually the ones we usually use, because they all have appropriate tone in certain ones. If you were to give an example of whisper voice in using appropriate tone, well, whisper voice would be good for if you were doing independent work. You could whisper to a friend if you didn't get something, and a good partner voice would be if you were using a level 2 voice to work with a partner, so the partner could hear you clearly. And number 3, a classroom voice would be if we were all at our seats, and he would call on somebody, Mr. C would call on somebody, and you would obviously use a level 3 voice so everyone could hear you. But a loud cheering voice is kind of if we
party or something.
Okay, but what about tone? Like, people can misunderstand what you really mean by a tone. Like, you can come across in a different way. So, Bounty, you wanna come over here? You wanna help us with that one? You wanna sit there and help me? Because you're good at this one. Remember how we talked about like the way you speak to someone might come across the wrong way?
For instance, for appropriate tone, is that what we're on?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Gosh. So for appropriate tone, like for instance, some people have a certain type of voice. Like for instance, Janaea might have like maybe a high pitch and a louder voice. But so it might sound like she's yelling, but to her it's really just her normal talk. Or I'm just using an example, and I'm not even saying you are, okay? I'm just saying anybody in this classroom, even me.
Me too.
Yeah.
I talk loud. I didn't realize it.
I always talk louder whenever
You're mad.
Yeah. But I've never tried to yell. I never try to shout or anything. I mean, unless it's a special occasion or if there's no school.
Right.
So.
So you're saying being aware of your tone, because you might not know how people perceive what you're saying, or it might sound like you're saying the wrong thing. It might sound like you're being mean. You want to talk about that?
No.
No? Who would like to comment on that? 'Cause sometimes it can come across as you're being mean. And we've talked about this before at the beginning of the year.
Also, if you use an appropriate tone, if someone were to say something in a mean way, like that, the tone might matter to a person because that could really hurt their feelings in a way. Because if someone was really sensitive and someone used like a mean tone on them, they would probably feel what's that word? Upset because they're not used to that tone or something, because they're spoiled down in Jameson that used to not like understand people's tones and stuff.
Okay.
So they don't misunderstand you.
Me and Kiana are going to talk about some stuff that we do in Mr. C's classroom to be effective communicators. What we do is we take turns talking, so everybody's not yelling at the same time, and so it's like so it doesn't sound like a million people are in here and you can hear it all the way down the hall.
Cool. And what does that do for the learning environment? If there's a good volume, what does that do for the learning environment?
That we're not using our voices.
It means that we can like focus more. We can focus better. I don't know.
No, you're right. Keep going.
We can focus better. People have more attention on the teacher, or if somebody's talking, or anybody, or anything. They have. That's really it.
Right. Very, very good answer.
If someone's talking and if you interrupt, then it's kind of rude, because if they were saying something really important, it would give them
It would be very rude, and they would be very upset that everybody started interrupting them while they were talking, and also you can't focus. Everybody's yelling out answers, and that it's just complicated.
But if you're not able to hear each other, how can you learn from each other?
You really can't. I don't know how.
if everyone's talking at the same time, then you can't hear the person who's talking.
Elise.
Taking turns talking is important. Like as Kiana said, if you have something important to say, then if they're not listening, they're not going to hear it, and the teacher's always going to have to ask you to repeat it. Because if everyone doesn't listen at once, that means like we're not going to get to everyone's ideas. And as Kiana said earlier, if usually people that don't listen to that person wouldn't listen to that person talking.
Okay, so you're saying that it's kind of a respect thing too?
Yeah.
Like, if you start to listen to someone and you start to both listen to each other, people are more apt to keep listening?
It kind of goes along with respect. respect others' words too, because
Okay.
you kind of have to respect of what people say and not take everything so literally and stuff.
Okay, good. More.
Another thing that effective communicators do is they make eye contact.
Okay, now give an example. Like, why is that? Why would an effective communicator do that?
Because if you're just like, say if I was talking to Kiana about this problem or something, and if I was just like looking around, she would think I was talking to someone else, or I just didn't care to tell her that if she asked me a question.
Such a good example. You would think that maybe she doesn't care. Keanu, you want to add on to that? Or are you good? You good? Anybody want to add on to that? Okay.
Wait, which one are we doing again? Eye contact?
Eye contact.
Okay. Making eye contact is important because, well, if you're talking to someone and you're not really making eye contact, it's just like showing that you don't care what the person's saying, or you just don't want to listen and you're really bored. And we did this in health. We were making eye contact together when we were giving interviews to each other. And Miss Lurvy and Emma were doing it, and they were doing the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And a few of the examples of the wrong way was to make slouching down like you really just don't care. You were staring into space and not making eye contact with the person. If you don't really make eye contact with the person, well, that means you just don't care and you just don't want to listen.
Maybe not that you don't care,
It's just like
but it will make them maybe think you don't care. So you could maybe give the wrong impression, like Mr. Flaherty talked about this morning. Like, what did he say at assembly? He said, how you perceive yourself and what people think of you. Like, who you think you are might be one thing, and you might be listening. But if you're not making eye contact, then the person might not think you are. Does that make sense? You want to kind of be who you think you are, and you want people to think you are who you are.
You're still taping.
Oh, I know.
He said.
We'll include this in the movie.
He said how he thought he was, and he wants to show everybody who he thought he was, and he was saying he really cares about us and wants to take care of this school, and he wants to show us that he does.
Through his actions, right?
Through all this.
Would your actions, by not making eye contact with somebody, Bounty or Daniel, if you're not making eye contact with someone, does your actions show that you're listening?
Well, if somebody, no.
Right. It's a short answer is no, but go ahead and explain it.
Like if, all right, say like you're talking to me right now. If I were to be like, then I mean maybe I'm not caring, like Lee said, or maybe I'm listening. Just I'm not giving eye contact. Just some people when they don't give eye contact, then sometimes they might not feel good. They might feel like, come on, just look at me or listen to me. They may not think you're listening to them, even though you are. So just what I'm trying to say is just give eye contact.
Yeah, it makes the other person feel like that you respect them. It makes the other person feel like you're listening to them. It makes the other person feel like that you actually care about what they say, and that's important. Because we need to care about what each other say. Yeah, Dan, you got anything to add to that?
Well, you have to kind of like pay attention to what they're saying because it might be important.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, well, it's kind of being rude to them.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Disrespectful.
Thank you, bud.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, I'm Sam. And I'm Bounty. Today we're going to tell you a little bit about what here in our class, what we do as collaborators. But I'm sort of I like to use and give feedback and use it so not only me and our table, but so our whole entire class can improve. And
Good. So can you give an example of how you use and how would you use and give feedback? Like, in what type of setting? Like, you know, is it during workshop? Is it during Genius Hour? During project-based work?
In Genius Hour and workshop. See, this, our classroom board, this isn't just some wall that's like, hey, you gotta be safe. We respect this wall. We respect the wall. The wall is like our safety zone. It's like our shield. It's something that helps our community stay together. So
Right. Yeah.
a lot of those things, it all came from us, and we're all still using those to improve. And all these walls too. Right here, we're collaborators.
So you're collaborators. So the first thing you do is you use and give feedback.
Yeah.
So can you give an example that what looks like, Sam, in the classroom? Like, when would you use and give feedback?
It is when you use and give feedback. It's like when you like and dislike some ideas, but when you have to argue or say or like it, either way, you have to be nice. Use a nice tone and be nice to your friends when you're disagreeing.
Good. That's really good. Go
We
ahead.
use and give feedback, like during workshop. Personally, not everybody, but personally, I use and give feedback during the workshop. Like, for instance, during the marshmallow challenge, we used and gave feedback. Like Daniel, he was he's one of my friends. He's a pretty good friend to everybody. So he's sorry. Just had to
No, you're
get that out.
doing great. You're
And
doing
then,
really good.
He was like giving feedback. He was telling us, "Hey, we got some challenges. He found some. He just got us a lot of supplies that fell off of the ground. Like, it was on our table."
We're getting some live footage here of the Marshmallow Challenge. This group's been absolutely on point. Terrific communicators. They've been listening to each other's point of view, been collaborating to make team decisions. It's done really good over here. Had some others struggling, but they're bringing it together. Oh, it's going down.
More tape.
How's it going over here, girls?
We're doing like a pyramid tiki thingy.
Doing.
It's a tiki.
Get in here. Janae is hard at work on the base, trying to make a strong foundation, it seems.
Is it sticking?
We've got 5 minutes left.
Oh no! Guys, don't panic. It doesn't matter. Come on.
It's about teamwork. It's about making sure we're using all of the things we've learned this week.
Guys, I think we got a good band.
Being communicators, working together as collaborators, thinking,
No, I don't. We got a good band.
being creative. These guys are working hard, but we're struggling a little bit. It's okay. Connor's been persevering quite well over here.
Snapped and now it looks like a scarecrow.
Oh, well, hey, you got 5 minutes. Put it together. Okay. Let's see how you work under pressure now.
Come on, we can do it. Let's stop yelling.
Well, I wasn't basically on their team, but they were about to win, but then they made it way too high, and then it just fell over. And
Fell over.
then-
But quite frankly, I didn't care about the whole champion and stuff. It was just really fun. Not first, but a few times in my life to actually just it's really fun when tons of people work as a team at one thing and you don't argue.
Right.
Right now, it's so peaceful right now. Just nobody's arguing, nothing. Everybody's paying attention. And that's just what our class is about.
Thanks, dude. That was perfect. Brooke.
Action. Another thing effective collaborators do is make and follow agreements. Like when someone is making an agreement, they must follow it. Just like with their friends. If you don't follow through your job, then something might go wrong, and everything might come crashing down. Like if it's a giant castle. If someone
You good?
does not do their job, the castle might just.
I'm Jaden.
And I'm Connor.
Today we're here to talk about effective collaborators, and one of the most important things about effective collaborators is teamwork. And let's just say, for example, if you're working on a math sheet or something and you're working with a partner and your partner needs help, so the best thing to do is probably help them and just work as a team, I guess.
That was funny, Jaden. I was gonna say that if you're an effective collaborator, that you should be able to work as a team, because if you don't, everything's gonna fall apart. And you made a pretty good point.
Right. So what do
I
you
know.
need to be prepared to work as a team?
I know.
Go ahead, Connor.
Okay. If you're prepared to work as a team,
Oh, no.
you'll be able to help your team solve other problems that might hurt or might actually help the team evolve or make it go down and fall.
And prepared to work as a team is sort of goes together, because you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared to work as a team if you're going to do teamwork. One way to be an effective collaborator is to help your team solve problems. And here's an example. Let's say you have a problem. Everyone else has a problem, and you don't. You could probably help each person solve a problem.
Ready?
Jaden, sometimes you don't always work as a team, but you have to try and work with them to get higher and actually work and actually build things high, and you can accomplish something. You work as a team.
You gotta
Cool.
respect the team. You gotta be nice and kind.
Okay.
You have to be. If you have a problem with the team, you should just tell them, because that'll make things more easier for you guys to make stuff or do stuff.
Action.
Another thing a effective collaborator does is takes responsibility. For example, in some classrooms, well, actually, in all classrooms, you need to do your homework when it is given to you. Otherwise, you might have to keep it until you do it over. You might get a bad grade or like that. It's like your job, but you need to take responsibility for what you are doing. If you don't, then in a project, your team might suffer, and you might not get the project done in the right amount of time. So it might take a while for you to do it. So you really need to take responsibility and do your job.
Perfect. What other one didn't we get up there? We did use and give feedback, right?
Yeah.
Bounty, you did that. We did it all. So why don't you all get up there? Jaden, Connor, Bounty. Count down, bro.
3, 2, 1.
Collaborators know that the teamwork makes the dream work.
Hi, I'm Lizzie. Hello, I'm Alex. We're talking about creators and innovators. What do creators and innovators do? Well, I got an example. So if you wouldn't know about that, you might eliminate ego. So it appears to use its resources to tell what needs to be, what needing to do.
So what you're saying, Alex, is an innovator or a creator, they eliminate ego.
Yeah.
Okay? What do you think about that, Lizzie? Yes? Would you
Yeah.
agree? Okay. And by eliminating ego, you're saying that they use any source that they need to achieve a goal?
Yes.
Does anybody have an example of that? Or you got one, Bounty?
Wait, so for creators
creators and innovators?
Yeah, for eliminating ego, like why,
yeah,
how might that? It says to
yeah.
use any source, so you're not like selfish. You don't think that you have all the answers. Is what I mean. So
Yeah, like eliminating the ego would be like, for instance, if there's a conflict going on at your table or anything like that, then maybe you could try to stop the conflict in any possible way you can, with not just by yourself, but with your whole team.
right, and then instead of thinking that you're the one that's right all the time, you eliminate the ego and you use any source you can to get back to what Alex says to get what you need done for the project. That's a really good example.
How can you follow your true passions?
Well, maybe you could work really hard and research a lot and work with maybe a friend or something to help you, or your mom or your dad to help you. If you have like maybe a computer at home that you don't really know how to use, and maybe one of your family members know how to use, and they could like maybe teach you, and then you could like,
Right.
and then you can research and follow your true passion, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good example. So, creators and innovators follow their true passions. Why would that be important? Like, do you think it's easy to be creative if you're doing something you want to do? Like, let's use Genius Hour as an example.
Well,
Do you think it's easier to be creative, Alex, and be innovative if you're doing something that you really enjoy?
well, yeah, I would,
Why do you think that is?
if maybe if you might have a problem, you might want to know that you need to follow your true passion.
So you're saying if there's a problem and you might want, and it's something you're passionate about, you'll want to know more about it?
Yes.
Does anybody else have an example? Brooke or Bounty? Anybody here? Matthew, Daniel? No?
I do.
No.
You do? Bounty's got one? Okay. So how do they follow, what does that mean to you? Follow your true passion?
I think it's easier to follow your passion, or first of all, because it's your passion. It's what you want to do. It's not like, it's like school. You don't want to go to school, I'm assuming, but that's not my point. I'm saying.
But what if you go to school and you're allowed to?
Yeah.
What if you go to school and like Genius Hour, you're allowed to do something you're really passionate about?
Yes, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is like it's easier to get something done if you're passionate about it and if you want to do it, and if you're like, oh boy, I'm gonna do this today because this is who I'm following, or this is what I'm doing, and I don't want to be a follower. I don't want to be a leader and stuff like that.
So let me ask you another question. If being part of a community, where everybody's like kind to each other and everybody's kind of not afraid to take risks, where people know mistakes are made, where you can follow your true passions, you think that it makes you want to learn more? Do you guys feel more comfortable in that environment learning?
Yes.
Why?
Like your environment.
Your environment. So you need the environment to just be right so you can learn?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be perfect so you can.
Here we go.
And so now creators and innovators do usually change their minds. So whenever your friend gets problems from making ideas of what you want to do, you might want to help your friend like talking about making their ideas, and that makes them change their mind.
So it makes them change their mind and make their idea a little better, is what you're saying?
Yes.
They might.
But you don't always change their mind.
Fun.
So now, creators and innovators ask big questions.
Innovators and creators take risks. They're unique. By that, they're not afraid to do things. Like, they can just go out there and do it. Like, for example, like one of my friends that I know, she can just like, she's she's like a risk taker and she can like go out there without being afraid, and I'm like, what?
That's good. You're being really honest. So they're not afraid to take risks. They're unique. What's the thing we talk about? We learn from our what in this classroom?
From our mistakes.
Right. That's the same thing. You're not afraid to take risks. You know that mistakes are going to happen. Is that okay, Alex?
Yep, of course.
Why? What do mistakes help us do?
Oh, so now,
Mistakes help us do what?
so, like, mistakes help you do things. Like mistakes, like, gives you problems, but you can fix that when you have any problems.
Right. So if you have the attitude that mistakes happen and that's okay, you cannot get stuck on some problem. You're willing to move through it and to learn. What do you think, Daniel? Brooke, anything to add to that? About mistakes and being unique?
Mistakes and being unique also help you like learn. So you learn from your mistakes, like not to make that mistake again.
Daniel, have you ever learned from a mistake? Can you give an example?
Yeah, learn from mistakes. Just try again and see how you can do it over again. Yeah, my friends help me sometimes when I'm stuck on a word. Yeah, and they help me so I can do it correct, and then I can learn from it.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I'm here with the director of Girl.
I'm going to talk to you about being a creator and innovator.
I'm going to be talking about a creator and an innovator.
So the first...
Creators use their imagination. I can be creative writing my blog. I can also be creative writing fiction.
Brooke, can you give an example of when you wrote a creative writing on a blog, like use the 100-word challenge? Talk about one time you did that.
So one time I was creative by using my blog for the 100-word challenge, and for the first week I did, for the first sentence of the first week, it said, but it was yellow. And so for my story, I did something really creative to it. Like it may have been like, this kind of did happen in real life, except for some of the parts I just added a little more pizzazz.
Creators and innovators think outside the box. This happens when you're a leader, not a follower.
There you go.
I think of creative ways to show what I learned.
Creative innovators takes risks and not afraid to do things. Creators and innovators seek out new things to explore.
Good.
Hi, I'm Alexis,
Hi, I'm Jaden.
and we're going to be talking about effective critical thinkers.
What do effective and critical thinkers do?
They analyze and think before they start.
Okay, so they analyze. Can you explain that a little more? Because there's 3 parts of it. They analyze. What are the 3 parts?
Before you start, ask questions and explain how others think.
Okay, so they think before you start. They ask questions and explain how other thinks. Can you think of a time in the class that we've done some analyzing, or can you think of some time or an example of analyzing? Anyone? Yeah.
Like before we do math, we always have to, like subtraction, we always would have to check we would have to think before we start doing the problem, because you always have to see the number you're taking away to see if it's big enough.
Right. And why would you ask questions when you're analyzing? What does that do for you? Alexi?
It kind of helps you with your work, and it helps you do the work better.
How? It's okay. Joss?
It helps you do your work, and it also helps you
like it also helps you by, like, if you have a question to ask, just ask somebody, and then they could give you the answer, and that would help a lot more.
So someone could help guide you find an answer by asking questions.
Yeah.
What else? How does it explain? They analyze. Explain how others think. What does that mean? Go ahead.
It means that people always have different ways of doing stuff, and you have to collaborate with your team to be able to analyze. Like if you were on a team, you'd have to collaborate because asking questions and explain how others think can really help. It can also help you improve your work.
You said something, explain how others think. You need to know how others think. I can't remember exactly what you said, but that's a really good point. Why, Emma? Why would we want to be able to explain how others think when you're working in a group, or if you're going to be a critical thinker?
If you can't explain how you think, then there's no point in doing what you're doing.
And if you can understand someone who explains, listen now, if you can understand someone who explains their thinking, and you can explain their thinking, it's okay to wave, then what will that do for your team? Or how does that make you a critical thinker?
Well, it helps by, if you know what you're saying, then you won't mess up if you're giving like a classroom speech, or, well, not a speech, but a presentation.
But if you can explain how others think, what does that show? What does that show?
It shows that you're an effective communicator.
Right, so it's an effective communicator because you're able to listen to that person and understand what they're saying, right? That's good. Elise, what else?
To explain how other people think, well, good listening is a part of that. Like we have an effective communicators, which I started, and
Go ahead.
Jaden, what's another thing critical thinkers do?
they gather and evaluate information.
Where would you do that?
Anybody got something? Good question, Brooke. Where would you gather and evaluate information? Alexis?
Maybe in school at like Genius Hour or workshop.
Ooh, Genius Hour. Good one. We have been gathering information. And what have you done? You've gathered all this information for Genius Hour. And what are you doing to that information? Emma?
You're gonna use the good information and not use the bad.
Bingo. That's so important. What do you got going on, Elise?
I just really feel like I like this stuff.
What is that source right there?
I'm using main.
You really zoomed in there.
Wait, what?
You zoomed in quite a bit. I'm gonna show you what to do. There you go.
I'm using main kids, and I'm looking at mooses.
Okay.
Because it's a mean animal.
What's your driving question?
My driving question is like, I'm working with Kiana, which is how to take care of animals, and I'm gonna look for the backgrounds of them.
The background? What about you, Kiana? What do you got going on?
Well, I'm trying to find some animal stuff.
Like what?
Like bears,
I'm working with these guys. You're gonna have to hold on. Raise your hand. I'll come around, pal.
turtles, deer.
You got a Google search. You made a custom Google search. What's your question? Kiana. Oh, Janae, sorry. What's your question?
Why are pandas endangered?
You got a YouTube video right now on pandas?
No.
Protecting or caring for creation.
There you go. Click on it. Make sure if that's a good video, if you think it gives you information for your presentation, copy the URL and put it into that Google Doc. Yes.
This website gives you all different kinds of stuff. It gives you stuff about black bears, chickadees, mooses, puffins, lobsters, loons, white-tailed deer, Maine animal tracks, Maine mammal information table, Maine birds.
If it doesn't load, do a refresh right there. Sorry, Elise. It said unknown error. Okay, so come back to your Google search. Get rid of this baby. No, try it this way again. Okay, there we go. It just had an error loading. Press the play button right there. Yeah, turn that down just a little. There you go. What kids doing just about everything in here. What's your question, ladies?
we're just kind of learning about dogs, pretty much. And then, well, like, we're like learning about dogs and how they like walk, and we've been watching this video. We just paused it, and we're writing maybe just facts about it.
Awesome. Here's the Wonder
And
Wall.
I'm gonna research in a book, and she's gonna use the internet.
Cool. So they're looking at videos. Kids are searching on our custom Google search, and kids are also using our library, and they're using our school library. You guys are using the custom. Some of them are investigating Minecraft and how to make a game.
Yeah, I'm gonna try making a
Hey guys, you two should find your own private space and let these two guys find their private space. Why don't you go over here at this desk? I like to see everybody in the room so I can help people out.
Mr. C,
What are you guys doing?
we've only watched 1 minute and 28 seconds. We refreshed it, so because it wasn't working that well. But we already figured out, like, we get the perspective. Like, for instance, you type in when you're coding, move right arm, and he would move his right arm, or move right arm to the left. He would move. That's how you code it. Then the animator would come kick in, and then he would animate and make everything, and he would make the characters. He would make the movement around him.
So
Then you could actually see the screen.
I'm wondering if we need to find a program for you to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Like we have hopscotch on our
I
iPads.
want to subscribe to him like a million times.
If he's on YouTube, if you want to subscribe to him, I can subscribe to him on my account for you, and I can drop in some of his videos on a Google Doc. I can help you guys out however I need.
You've been putting different websites on your Google Doc so it can help you evaluate information even more. So like you have all those websites. So when you get really into your Genius Hour project, you can go into those websites and collect information that you need.
Go ahead, Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma. I am Jocelyn. And we're here to talk to you a little more about critical thinking. Effective critical thinking. They use criteria to ensure you are meeting project goals.
So, kind of, what would that mean? Like
One thing we do is use our rubrics to reach our criteria.
Okay.
One thing we do is to set our goals, and then we check back to make sure we're setting our goals.
Okay, so you set goals, then you check back to make sure you meet your goals?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Alright, perfect.
What do I think?
Okay.
Why do I think so? And how do I know?
So, what does that help you do? When you ask yourself questions, what does it help you do?
It helps you, meet your goal, and it helps you improve if you're doing a writing, or improve if you're doing a reading report.
What do we call that? It begins with R. What are you doing on your work?
Revising?
First we reflect.
And then we revise.
Okay.
It makes our work better.